Hey, what's up, fans? In this video, we're going to cover some of the strangest draft moments in history, so stick around, because this video's good. Look, I'm not a general manager, but I think it's pretty obvious that when it comes to the NFL draft, of all the sports leagues drafts, it's gotta have the most potential of all the drafts, because if you draft well, and with a little luck, you can literally go from being a bottom feeder in the NFL to a bona fide contender all within the course of one weekend. That's why the NFL draft is such a huge event, because it really matters. So when a GM, or a coach with drafting authority, sees potential in a player they think could change the course of their franchise, they'll do whatever it takes and barter any asset they see fit to land said player. All the while, the clock's ticking. Now, with that being said, these decision makers also have a ton of pressure to not f it up, because that could also greatly hamper the potential of the team for years to come. So while making decisions is not easy, it seems like a lot of these situations on this list could easily be avoided. On the contrary, if you're a sought-after prospect about to get drafted, all you've got to do is behave yourself and wait for your turn to be selected and everything will be good. But it's a little more complicated than that, as you'll see with our first entry on this list. So let's get started. And while you're at it, make sure and subscribe, because we've got plenty more videos like this one coming your way in the near future, and you won't want to miss them. First on this list, Laramie Tunzel. Laramie Tunzel was a bad man on the O-line for Ole Miss. Like many great college athletes, he made the announcement shortly after Ole Miss's bowl game that he'd forgo his last year of college and head to the pros to make the big bucks. This was probably the right decision, because he's already proven that he's a legit player at the next level, making the Pro Bowl his rookie year. And at the time before the draft, analysts like Lance Zierlein said, Laramie Tunzel to me is going to be the best tackle in the league, or one of the top 2 within 3 years. Furthermore, there were some mock drafts that had Tunzel going number 1 overall to the Titans. So, the draft is about to start. Tunzel, I'm sure, on the biggest night of his life, he's ready to be one of the first players off the board. But about 10 minutes before the draft starts, a video appears on Tunzel's Twitter account of him crushing bong rips. Not only bong rips, but through a gas mask. There's no question who the video is either, because he takes off the mask, making it clear that it is in fact him. Tunzel's agent immediately explained that his Twitter account was hacked, but that didn't matter. Other offensive linemen were taking over Tunzel, and he dropped down to the 13th pick, which isn't bad for an O-lineman, but considering he was considered by many as being the top prospect in the draft, it was a bummer for him. He was also later exposed when there was a screenshot posted on his Instagram account of his text to his then Ole Miss coach asking for money to pay his mother's electric bill. All of this probably won't matter that much for Tunzel in the long run, as he's still a great talent and has virtually his whole career in front of him. But man, somebody had it out for him. Number 2, let's go back, way back, to 1946, when Washington's football team was still named the Redskins. There was this versatile running back / D-back who they thought very highly of. They wanted him, and his name was Cal Rossi, and Washington selected him with the 9th pick in the draft, and all was well. Except for it wasn't, because at that time, juniors were not eligible to be drafted. So the pick was wasted. Wow, incredible. Man, that's rough. At least the next year, they'd probably learn to do their due diligence and draft a great player to help them out and leave that blunder in the past. So that's what they didn't do. In the 1947 draft, they went ahead and pulled the trigger on Rossi again, this time with the 4th pick. Finally, we got our guy, except for their guy was compelled to join the Navy and not compelled to play any more football. So, on the heels of World War II, he decided to join the Navy. Rossi decided to join the Navy, and he never played football again. Smooth, guys. 2 top 10 draft picks, 1 guy, no dice. Number 3, Jordan Cameron, or Cameron Jordan? It was the 2011 draft, and Jordan Cameron was taken at the 102nd pick. Now, all of the teams to make a blunder here, believe it or not, it was the one and only Cleveland Browns. So, they selected Cameron, and then they made a phone call to Cameron Jordan. Wait, what? Cameron Jordan, who was already selected by the Saints with the 24th pick. By the way, Cameron Jordan's now a 5-time Pro Bowler, so they might have wanted to be a bit more proactive in actually drafting him in the first round. So anyway, they're on the phone with Cameron Jordan after drafting Jordan Cameron, and Cameron Jordan actually talked about it on the Dan Patrick Show, saying that the Browns called me while I was chilling with my D-line coach, Bill Johnson. We were driving from the airport, and I got a call from the Browns, and they were like, "Hey, we're about to select you." I was like, I'm good actually. I think I've already been selected, but if you want to send that check, I'll take that. Anyway, the Browns still ended up getting their guy, Jordan Cameron. Number 4, Ricky Williams and the New Orleans Saints. Enter New Orleans Saints coach Mike Ditka selecting Ricky Williams in the 1999 NFL Draft. Ricky Williams was just coming off of a season where he rushed for 2,327 yards on 391 carries, averaging a really healthy 6 yards per carry. Not to mention arguably the best college career in history at the time, and the crown for career rushing yards was 6,297. Oh, and Heisman Trophy. Now also, at that time, the NFL valued running backs way more than they do in today's league because of the type of offensive schemes that they were running. So it's really easy to understand the value of great running backs around the turn of the millennium. So what the hell happened in the draft? Well, Mike wanted Ricky, and Ditka was literally doing whatever it took to get Williams. Wait, like literally whatever it took? Yes, literally. Like, he just trade all his picks to get him? Yes, that's exactly right. Here's how it all went down. In order to move the Saints pick up the board into the 5 spot to secure Williams, Ditka traded away all of their remaining picks to the Redskins. So that was the 12th, 71st, 107th, 144th, 179th, and the 218th. For good measure, they forked over to the Redskins a first and a third rounder in the 2000 draft as well. That first rounder turned out to be the second overall pick in 2000, which the Redskins selected LeVar Arrington, who was very good. This did not end well for the Saints and Ditka, as he was fired after the 1999 season after going 3-13. Now, I have one more thought on this whole scenario, which might not be as much talked about, but with all these draft picks that the Redskins received, they must have crushed it the following years, yeah? Well, in 1999, they went 10-6. 2000, 8-8. 2001, 8-8. 2002, 7-9. 2003, 5-11. Not being able to improve the franchise after being showered with all of those picks from the Saints is maybe almost as shocking as what Ditka gave up to get Ricky. Ricky was good though. He finished his career spending a majority of it with the Dolphins and is now sitting at 31st in career rushing yards, putting himself in the company of backs on the list like Marshawn Lynch, Eddie George, and Tiki Barber. Number 5, the Vikings pick, or lack of picking. They straight up messed around and just didn't make a pick in the 03 draft. Well, you may say, well, yeah, later round picks can start flying off the board pretty quickly, so I can see that happening. Nope, it was the 7th pick, the 7th overall pick, in which they had a solid 10 minutes to figure out. So, the Jags got that pick and took Byron Leftwich. And then the Panthers snuck in and drafted offensive tackle and eventual Pro Bowler Jordan Gross. Finally, the Vikings were able to pull the trigger on their guy, defensive tackle Kevin Williams. Now, this also happened to the Ravens in 2011 when they made a trade for their 26th pick with the Bears. But the Bears didn't call the trade in. So that 10-minute clock ran down to zeros. The Chiefs jumped in at 26 and took their pick. Luckily, the Ravens were able to pick right after the Chiefs and selected cornerback Jimmy Smith, who was their target in the first place, or so they said. So you may already know this, but as we see here in these scenarios, if a team doesn't use their pick and the clock runs out, they don't necessarily lose it in total, but the next team on the board can pick when the prior team's clock runs out. The tardy team can then hurry up and make a selection after all, but they're obviously running the risk of the next team picking the guy they were after. That's all for this video, fans. Which one of these on the list is most shocking to you? Or is there one that we didn't include on the list? We'd love to hear from you, so let us know down in the comments. And as usual, if you like this video, do us a favor by tapping that thumbs up and subscribe so that we know that we're all clear to keep putting out awesome football videos on the regular. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one.